Hello and welcome to today's podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Jolly Jarvis, and today we are talking around standing out from the crowd. So, your marketplaces can be super crowded, especially this time of year. How do you stand out? How do you make yourself different? How do you make yourself heard? Before we get started, though, I'm going to do a super quick update for you on what is happening at Selling Without Sleaze HQ. So, we are making revamps to the funnel so we can get our figures where we want them to be. Yeah, it's been a bit of a it's been a bit of a slog. It's been a bit of hard work, actually. Lots of revamping and lots of changes going on. It's the funnel offering is still going to be based around the book, but there's a lot more around the bonuses, and there's a lot more focus gone into getting those bonuses where we want them to be to help with that page conversion. And then obviously attracting that ideal customer to start off with. So being specific over what we are offering to make sure that the people coming through, booking calls and coming on to the programs are people who are the right sort of people that I can have an impact with. It's gone way beyond just the book. It's focusing on that, supporting that customer and their customer journey to get to know us, like us, trust us, so they are in a position to buy from us. Obviously, not everybody. The aim of the funnel isn't to get everybody converting. It'd be wonderful if you did, but that's just not how it works. It's a funnel. It starts off with a high volume of people and ends up with a smaller volume. And so that's what we're working to. But we want those numbers to work, those numbers that feed in to work through and become paying clients and have those numbers working so that it makes sense. At the end of the day, Facebook ads, any sort of ads are expensive, and so you want to make sure that the numbers stack up and stack up for scaling, so that you would then look to, we're getting them through, we're getting that trickle. So what we want to do now is we know if we put in X, we get out Y, and when we're in that position, we need certain elements like the landing page to be converting a certain figure. So that's what we're working towards. We're not running ads therefore at the moment. So the book sales and leads and sales are sort of trickling in. But this time of year, it is super expensive to run ads. So that's why we've done this change now, was so that we can make the most of the time where things are more expensive. And to be honest, it's not a thing. It's not a Christmas thing. There's no point in putting that money behind that period of time if actually it makes no difference to you and actually doesn't. If anything, it provides it's more of a hindrance than a help to be onboarding people now, because of that Christmas break and people's focus on Christmas. So, it would be fine if you are out there and you've got a product or service that works well for Christmas gifting, then it makes sense to pay that increased price, because you might not get as much margin, but you will get more sales. When you are in a position where it's a product that wouldn't necessarily do better, in fact, it'll probably do worse over the Christmas period, then you are better off saving that resource. And so that's what we've done. So Christmas and Black Friday obviously really do push up. There's more people competing for that positioning on people's profiles, and that's what it comes down to. Is on the news feeds, is the ads are slots, and people are bidding for those slots, so it obviously increases the price. I'm super excited that we have now finished the planning events. Not because I didn't enjoy them; they were amazing, and the feedback has been fantastic on it. I've really enjoyed it. As far as business focus is concerned, it was a nice thing to do. It worked well for our client base, worked well for my clients, but it's not where your fundamentals are, and so it was a great experience and something we will look to repeat next year. Hopefully we won't be as busy, and so we won't be juggling as many things, so it won't matter as much when your time gets sort of taken away for that. And for all the clients who haven't done their planning yet, I've also recorded sessions so that they can do that on their own. Not quite the same as in that group setting, which was what I was after, and we were super fortunate to get two face-to-face events in, but better than nothing. I've ended up with a net promoter score. I got 10s across the board, apart from one person who gave me a 9. So my NPS across the board is something like 9.8 or 9.9. So but still really chuffed with that. So your NPS is your net promoter score, which is what I said, which is how likely are you to recommend to a friend. If you put products against each other that are you think your general opinion on them is pretty similar, but then you ask them how likely are you to recommend those products, that's when you can see the differentiation in actually your opinion of them. Would you subject your friend to that? Anything below an 8 and it's not a great score at all. Obviously 9.9, 9.8, just under that 10 is a really good score. 10 is the most you can get. everyone attended now has a plan, and that was the point. I'm really a massive fan of feedback forms, and so on the feedback form, I got people to state whether or not they had a clear plan, because that was the aim of the day. If they didn't have a clear plan, then I'd failed in that execution of that day for that person, and that would be then something that I'd want to pick up on. Would that have been a bit painful to read? Yes, but does it give you an opportunity to put things right? Absolutely. Whereas otherwise it doesn't. So always worth bearing in mind. As ever, please do rate the podcast. If you enjoy it, please do rate it either on Apple or any other platform where you can provide a rating, and that would be gratefully received. It's normally the Apple ones that we drive people towards, but if you do know of any other way, then please do rate and review for us, and that really does help. And the only other thing to say as an update is that my pricing is changing. The types of packages I'm offering aren't going to be scalable going forwards. So after the revamp of the funnel into the new year, my product offering will be changing, so that the one-to-one program is less one-to-one. You will still get feedback, but it will be in more of a group setting with access to the training. My one-to-one is just the time. You've got that opportunity cost, and I always encourage people when I'm working with them to look at the time that you have available, and then what you're doing with that time. The more time you're spending with clients, the less time you have to do other activities, and so my role is becoming increasingly more towards the marketing side, and I do want to still have that client contact, but it will take a different format from before. So there is a price rise, which is the only way of doing it, to reflect that the value of that time together, for the person who's using my services, but also to as a what's the word? But to compensate for that time and that time investment, and how that time could be spent elsewhere. So I am super excited to still be continuing to do one-to-one, but it is going to be for fewer people come the new year. So if you are interested in working with me one-to-one, then now would be a really sensible time to get involved with that. Before I change things up again, which unfortunately has come sooner than I was anticipating, but will be necessary in order to keep things sustainable going forward. So let's get on with the main point of today's podcast, which is 3 activities to help you cut through the noise in your market and stand out, so you become the person that people go to as the solution in your market. And that's what you're aiming at. You're aiming to position yourself as much as possible as that go-to person, and why not? If you know that what you do really does help those people in your market, then why wouldn't you be super clear on it and be shouting it super loudly? Which brings me on to my first action. So the first thing you can do to help you cut through that noise is to be microscopically super laser focused on your ideal customer. Okay, so laser focus as far as your messaging is concerned in that market. And I was talking with a group of other business owners and entrepreneurs, and in that workshop we were talking around the value of having your messaging right, and somebody likened it very cleverly, and I quite liked it, and said I'm going to steal that, to having a megaphone. Okay, so in a crowded place, somebody chirps up with a megaphone, it cuts through that noise. Yeah, it cuts through the sound, that hustle and bustle of that area, because it's louder. Okay, now the difference with when you're talking with super laser focus to your ideal customer isn't that it's louder, but it just resonates more. Okay, so put that noise into resonating, okay, into relating to that person, into that person feeling like you truly get them. And that totally cuts through the noise. You've been at dinner parties where you've suddenly caught the sound of another conversation about a topic that's important to you. That's what it means to your ideal customer when you start talking in the language about the scenarios that they are currently dealing with and you can help with. So, don't be afraid to get out metaphorical megaphone, and really focusing on who you want to work with. You can't work with everybody, and that's the thing, I found within my business is you can't work with everybody. I can't get those results for everybody. I had a sales call earlier last week, and this person, I know I can't help them because their head is not in the right place, and they are not focused. They won't plug their gaps in their skill sets. They aren't willing to take that time, resource, and invest it in themselves. And until they're in a position to do that, I'm not the solution for them. Yes, I could take their money, but I would have a difficult relationship with them, with me knowing what they need to do and them not being in a position where they want to do it. And it's not going to end well. And so, you can't help everybody. So focus in on the people you can help. Okay, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to make the people which aren't feel alienated and awful, but you do want to be focusing in on that particular specific person you want to work with and you can get results for. And that's the key thing is anybody who's got the money you can take the money from, but not everybody you can provide that you can get that testimonial from, and you can provide that outcome for. So that's your number one. Okay, get super focused on who you're talking to and make sure that your messaging is on point and speaking to that person and resonating with them, okay, on a consistent basis. So you're consistently putting out information, and it's a consistent message with that information. You're not all over the place, okay? You choose it and then stick with it. Number 2 is establishing yourself as that thought leader, okay, an authority in your subject. How do you do that? People tell me to do this, but how do I do that? How you do that is by doing something that, other people aren't necessarily doing, getting yourself out there, press. For example, you can, and this fits in both categories, you can write a book. I've wrote an international best-selling book, and that will bring me on to my third point in a little while, because it fits in that one too. But, that provides you, not all my competitors, not everybody in my market has written a book, not everyone in my market has written a successful book. And so, then you have that social proof, which I'll come on to for point 3. But it enables you to position yourself. I know enough about this subject that I've written a book that people are wanting to purchase. Okay. Also, you've got areas where entrepreneurs, there's so many more resources now, and it's so much more accessible to get PR. And so, you don't have to get a PR company. You can do it yourself. No one will be more passionate about your product or service than you are. So use that passion, okay? Speak to people directly. You've got groups on Facebook like Entrepreneur Lightbulb, Lightbulb it's called, where you get entrepreneurs meet press, and it's for entrepreneurs to deal directly with the press and talk around their businesses, and the press say that they want to write an article on this and who's got information on that, and so it goes back and forth, which is really exciting. You've also got you can use topics which are hot topics at the moment. People do this on Twitter a lot, where they jump on a topic and they give their own opinion on it. They provide their own opinion, and you're putting that out to the wider world, and you're putting it to your audience. So your audience is seeing what your opinion on is. You're providing that leadership on this subject area. You're putting yourself out there, and you're prepared to stand by what you're saying. You're also then positioning yourself where people may contact you for further comment on that, if you have a different take. But don't go controversial for the sake of being controversial, okay? You need to genuinely, hand on heart, believe what you are saying. So be consistent, be true to yourself with that one, and don't get carried away, which is easily done. But enable your beliefs and your opinions to lead the way for others, and share them. Don't be afraid to share them. It shows confidence. It shows that you know your subject area. Number 3 is establish social proof. Do things that other people aren't doing. Do things that competitors aren't doing, like I said about my book. Okay, in point 2, I'm talking around the fact that you want to be visible, you want to be sharing your opinion. In this one, it's the social proof of it. I have you're demonstrating your ability and your influence and the impact you're having. You're demonstrating that loads of people think you're great. And that helps people to feel more confident in making the decision that actually they want to work with you too, because they're hoping that you'll be great for them. and get them the results. So it can be as simple as testimonials. Here's testimonials from people. The opportunity to provide case studies. You've worked with people, and therefore you've got case studies about working with those people and the impact you've had. It's that proof that you will deliver on what you're saying, and you are as good as what you say, or you are as good as what other people say, or basically you are the solution to that person's problem. I am an international best-selling author. That means lots of people have bought my book. I've got, I don't know, about 40 reviews on Amazon, which it's just under 5 stars, that I've got from there. That's social proof again of the book. I'm a practitioner guest lecturer at Aston University, which is the university I used to go to. It's one of the best business schools in the country, and I lecture on their sales training module. And so, that gives you an indication as to that the university rates me. Loads of people who read my book rate me. I've got my own podcast. I'm a speaker. People get me on their stage to speak. I have a podcast, and I've had over 9,000 downloads so far. That means that you've had 9,000 separate listens to different episodes. They're not all my mum. Actually, she hasn't even listened to my podcast once. How rude. And then I've got testimonials and case studies. So I've got that real bank of evidence that actually backs up what I'm saying, which is, if you want to work with me and you're willing to take action on the plans that we make, then you will not only make your money back on the investment you make with me, but you will make more money. That helps strengthen that up. And what more could I do? You can always do more. However, there is a real strong case there of evidence to support that investment is worthwhile doing, and therefore people feel more confident coming on board, investing in me and getting that outcome. Please remember to put it into action, okay? It's seeking out those opportunities to position yourself as thought leader. It's so having an opinion, giving that opinion, sharing that opinion. It's around providing social proof, and it's around with a proper laser focus, focusing in on your ideal customer and making the most of that relationship, being really, really clear on how you can help that person to cut through that noise in your industry. If you would like more help, if you think, actually, now would be a good time to find out how I can work with Sarah, then please do email me at help@sellingwithoutsleaze.com, and one of the team will get back to you. Next week, we are talking minimum viable dose. Okay, so as far as your social and your organic is concerned, in time for that holiday season where, you might want to take some time off, but don't want to come back and have to sort of restart the momentum behind your business. So I hope that's helped, guys. Thoroughly enjoyed speaking as ever on my favourite topics. And I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now. Happy selling.